there, Lee here. So for this video I want to start working on the fretboard. I haven't glued the fretboard to the neck yet. I think I'm going to do some things separately first because I think it's going to be easier. What I've found with the neck through design is there's so much wood to play with, it's too hard to maneuver. So I'm going to do the fretboard now. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to radius it and I'm going to put the inlays in it. So that's going to be today's video. But just as an update, actually just let me show you here. So rosewood fretboard, I've already actually off camera cut it to the correct shape and I've already started to radius it as well because I wanted to test a technique I found online which is really good. So on YouTube there's another guy who's shown a really easy way to radius fretboards using a sander if you already have one of these sort of bench sanders available, and I'll show you that shortly. I've also, you won't be able to see it, but I've drawn out a basic outline of what I want the guitar to look like as well on my walnut, which is really good. But what I'll do is I'll give you a closer look of the band sander technique, the bench sander technique for radiusing fretboards, and I'll start doing that now. So far with my fretboard, I have already started to radius it, and as you can see I've cut it to shape. I've also cut a little notch in the end there. I've seen it on some other guitars. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, but it looks pretty cool, so I've done the same thing. But what I wanted to show you, the technique, easy way to radius a fretboard. Now obviously a lot of people have the radius block. This was a 10 and a 12. And I wanted a 12-inch radius, although I'm going to try and do a compound radius manually. But the secret is if you take a look at the sander, what I did is I cut the 12-inch radius section off of the block. And this is a tip online, so have a look at YouTube and look for fretboard radius jig or words to that effect. And the guy comes straight up, so I urge you, go and check out his video. If I can remember, I'll try and post a link to his video in the comments section. But the key to it is basically you get your radius, just get some masking tape and just put it back on itself so it's sticky. And you actually loosen off the belt, you put the radius underneath the belt, like so. So put it in the center, push it down a bit, and then tighten the belt back up. Now what happens is it becomes really obvious. Now when you turn on this and you start to push the fretboard down on it, it will automatically sand to the correct radius because hand sanding is a real laborious task. So I wanted to try and automate some of that. And this is the absolute best technique I've seen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just finish off some of the radiusing, but I am going to finish it manually because I want to try and compound the radius near the 24th fret. So as you know, I could do the same radius across the whole fretboard, but generally you want less of a radius as you get nearer the 24th fret. So let's just finish off the standard part and then I'll move on to the manual sanding just to try and finish the radius. Later on in the video then I will start to fit the dot inlay. So I've bought some dots and we'll go through that process and get those put into the fretboard as well. So I've finished that now. I'm really pleased with the results. Using that sander technique has saved me a lot of time and it's pretty accurate. So I've got my little 12-inch gauge and as you can see down here it's pretty much perfect, and as I move it up there's less and less radius as I go up to the 24th fret. So I've basically put in my own compound radius. I know it's not going to be exactly perfect, but this is plenty good enough for me. I'm really pleased with the result. So what I'm going to do now is fit the dot inlays. That's the next job, so I'll see you shortly. So as you can see, I've got my dots here. All I need to do is I just need to measure up where they go on here, just to make sure the spacing's correct and they're correctly centered. and then I'll just drill some small holes with my pillar drill to put them in. Hopefully you can see that I've drawn the centre line on. Now obviously the centre line is going to be really important for this part because you want that to be correct to make sure it doesn't look out of place once I put the dots in. So let's measure up and then I'll drill the holes and we'll see if we can glue those in. Obviously remember at the 12th fret I've got the double dots, so I just need to measure up twice and put a placement for the double dots. Now I've put the dots on, I'm just going to push a point into them so the drill sits true when I start to drill into them. So I'm just using a Phillips screwdriver, but these old ones have got a sharp point on, so I'm just going to put a point into these now. So as you can see, I've drilled the holes. I'm pretty happy with that. I haven't gone too deep, so I intentionally set the pillar drill up so it wouldn't go all the way through accidentally. They're just deep enough, so that feels pretty good already. They'll need a little bit of sanding down just to make everything flat and level, but that's pretty good. So I'm just gonna have a look at the best side, or the best colours if you like, on here, and just make sure I fit those in. Yeah, so these are looking really nice. I was going to glue them in, but I mean, I put the first two in, they fit so tightly. I don't know if I should glue them in, just in case anything goes wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them in without gluing, because they fit really precise, and then we'll see where we go from there. It just means if I want to change my mind, or if I do anything wrong in the meantime, means I'll be able to flick them back out easily enough to try and correct any mistakes. So let's just go with no glue and see what happens. Hope you can see that fine. They've gone in really well. They look nice and square. I'm really happy with that job. So that's the next job done. So join me for the next video. I'm going to start doing the main bulk of the neck. So my neck through design, I'm going to start cutting some of the neck out. I'm going to measure this against it and see where we go from there. See you next time.